So with that, let's get to the live demonstration.
I can't wait to see and much more.
And much more, absolutely. So to get started, let's look at the new display wizard for the CorasWorks grid. I'm going to go ahead and open that up here. And probably the most noticeable thing you'll see immediately is instead of using a small, condensed modal window within the page, we've incorporated a full screen interface now that will automatically take you right back to the page you were working on, but maximize that real estate, allow you to manage and work with your grid or calendar, as the case may be, in a full screen interface. You can see views are now listed here on the left. Creating a new view is as simple as creating the Create View button up at the top. I have a number of comment options here, or I can select from the longer list. And we still support all the default out-of-the-box SharePoint content types, or of course the ability to select and create your own custom view. Views again, we talked about that quick edit capability. So if I wanted to make a small change to say my view name, my description, maybe add an image, I have to open the full view configuration, make a change, hit finish, wait for that save. All of that I can do very quickly through the quick edit here as well. I can take and easily promote or upload my local views to central views through the upload icon. And of course, as I go into the full edit experience, you'll get to see what it is now to configure your grid display using the new interface. One of the things that we've done to try to make it as easy and quick as possible is condense the options that were often scattered across multiple pages of the old wizards into logical consolidated groupings within the new wizard. So instead of 7 or 8 sections down the left, I now only have 3. And we've made it very simple to identify. If you just want to do a quick configuration of this display, all you have to do is touch the first 2 sections or columns in your data source, and you're done. If you want to refine that data, that's where we place the filter, the sort, the search options, as well as condense the grouping and action settings into that area as well. And then finally, general appearance sections. Here's where you're going to do your item level display settings, any general display settings, and of course the conditional formatting and context menu options that you had before. Again, I'm here on the column page, and you can see just how easy it is to manage the model list. I can update my column settings. Here's where we talked about setting that column width dynamically. So I've got this one distributed evenly, but if I wanted to, I could uncheck and literally just take and drag my columns to make sections wider. Okay. For the purpose of the view, I'm going to go ahead and just leave this as the default, but I'll switch it back shortly. All my available columns appear on the left, right, listed alphabetically. We automatically include the site list and folder variables as well. No longer having to look and find that kind of hidden search box to get those options to appear. They'll now always be there available to you. And I can do things, say, take my created by, and I can either click the icon to push it over into a visible column or drag it right into the interface and place it where I want it. Each individual column then has its own settings. Again, you can change the display name, the format string, and the aggregation is where we've now moved that column total capability. So if I want to look at average or sums of currency values or number values or average percent complete, I can do so right where I'm setting up my data columns as part of that view. And then the hidden columns makes it much cleaner and easier to see which columns are part of that display in terms of being available for other settings, but not being displayed to the user. Another nice advantage with this feature is as you add columns into the display that might not already be included, they will automatically be added to the hidden column section. So as you get into the refined data section, if you decide you want to filter, sort, or group on a column that you forgot to include, no longer do you have to go back to the column page and manually select it. The new wizard will automatically add it as a hidden column. So let's go ahead and make some additional changes to this display. I've added my created by. I'll go in and say add a new grouping. You can see the new interface as well, very slick and easy. Maybe I want to do a grouping by assigned to, expanded by default, display an item count, and I can go ahead and say apply changes, and that'll basically just do an inline save. I can apply changes and exit to take me back to my web part page where that grid was, or if I want to hit apply and then go back home, I can add additional views, make changes to multiple views, etc. So let's go back to that grid and see some of those updates that we applied. And you can see now we've got the additional created by column being displayed, the grouping that we turned on, and any other features or changes we may have made to that view are visible. Let's now jump over to the calendar and we'll see what that interface looks like. I've got an existing view here showing me my task due dates, created as a custom view. If I had multiple views, again, the default view option is very quick and easy to set up now as well. I can go in and see how we've updated the interface for setting up those calendar columns. Now, right at the beginning, make it very quick and easy to identify what fields it is you want for your start and end fields, which ones you want to display, which column contains a description, and then beyond that, the customizable options around the tooltip. So again, taking multiple settings that previously were spread across multiple pages of the wizard and logically bringing them into a single consolidated interface. Here's where we talked about adding those custom field pickers. If you want to make your own advanced tooltip with a header and body section, you can just select the field that you want to include as part of that, and it will add it into the interface. Another great feature with the addition of the new wizard is if over time you may need to change the model list that a given display is working against, unlike before where you would lose any reference to any columns that may not exist in the new model list, the new wizard will retain and display a section for you below the selected columns, identifying columns that are not present in the new model list you selected, but that are used in that view configuration. So as you take and say reuse or move displays from one environment or one site to another, and you need to make updates to your model list, you can safely keep track of what columns that view is using and then necessarily change or update the references to those as part of the display. In the appearance section, this is where we added some of those additional features. The left panel in terms of how it's configured, what's available, the date and time options that we talked about, and again, make it much easier, much more intuitive with inline date and time pickers to identify what range that calendar is going to show by default, when the time view should start and end, etc. And with that, I didn't make any substantial changes here that I want to retain, so I can just hit cancel and again get back to my functional calendar. So let's go back to my grid, because that's where I've got some actions attached, and let's start to look at how it is we might manage and update those actions with the new wizard. So I'm just going to go for my site settings and click into the action wizard, same access as before, but again, a new optimized interface. On the left now, you can see what site and action library it is that you're working with at that instance. So if you want to select a different site or choose a different library, you're no longer dealing with a refresh and a small little button to identify those. We've also made it easy, as I've highlighted here at the top, to find actions within that particular library. So as you get into larger, more complex applications where you may have dozens of actions, it sometimes is difficult to always find or identify the action it is that you wanted to work with. So we now give you the ability to search or filter, if you will, by title, by category, or even by action type, to very quickly and easily find and get to the action that you want to work with. Again, actions are created right through the ribbon bar as well. You can delete actions, and of course, as you go in and have your existing actions, modify those as well. The actions also have the quick edit ability. So again, unlike the old wizard where you'd have to go into the full configuration and step through all the individual pages to make an update, I can now go in and make quick individual changes, whether it's to my action name, description, category, or even adding images, which is also now including a live preview option. So if I want to go in and add an image reference to this particular action, I can go ahead and type that in, and you can see the preview in real time, so I can validate that that's the image I'm expecting to be part of my action definition. I can go in and make a full change to my action wizard here as well if I want to make updates to an individual action itself. And I'll click the full-on edit here. And again, you'll see that drag and drop interface just like when setting up columns in your displays, identically now through the action wizard. Before, getting to the column definition page was 4 clicks away. Once you got into the action that you edit, we've now made it right at your fingertips, single click, drag and drop. Reordering columns was done on a separate page from where you would actually define the column options. That's no longer the case here either. So I can reorder my columns inside of here. I can make changes, whether I'm setting default values, making a field required, read only, labeling that field. Again, all of those changes now happen in one consolidated part of the wizard. I can, of course, change the list that action is tied to. The email configuration options for actions that include that ability now have their own separate called out page that you can quickly jump to. And advanced options where you manage things like attachments, your success and error messages, or some of the cafe options that we'll talk about here shortly. And then finally, in the data integration section, this is where you find those options that we've introduced in previous releases, like triggering workflows and executing external service calls.